Welcome to this training video. My name is Carol Irwin from the University of Memphis. I am the principal investigator for factors impacting swimming participation and competence, the research study of which you will be a vital part. I hope you've downloaded the training documents that I provided. Hopefully you were sent these along with the YouTube address for this training video. I will be referring to these documents throughout the video, so if you don't have these downloaded or printed, stop the video now, take the time to do this. It will be important. So you should have already the two different surveys, the adolescent version and the parent caregiver version. You should also have the two different consent statements, the adolescent consent statement as well as the parent caregiver. They're slightly different. Okay, and also a very important document would be the training video brief study descriptions that you can use to follow along with as I go through this training video. Okay. YMCA and the US and USA Swimming, as well as the University of Memphis, are supporting and sponsoring this study. We were involved with similar studies in 2008 and 2010. And all three organizations have similar goals. We want to have more swimming and less drowning. Three major goals for this study is to measure youth swimming ability and look at the potential link between parent swim ability and kids swim ability, studying the likelihood that a child will learn how to swim based on their parent's swim ability, and also uncover motivating factors and barriers to learning how to swim. Okay, possible contributions from the study is hopefully we want to decrease, possibly eliminate drowning, increase the number of children and adults who learn how to swim, deeper understanding of strategies to encourage this, as well as learning not only how to swim, but maybe even moving into competitive swimming, especially with high impact groups. And lastly, a lot of YMCA programming may be based on these data, so it's an important study to the YMCA. So we appreciate all your efforts for this. Okay, first of all, how to sell a survey. It's kind of hard to sell a survey because no one ever wants to fill out a survey. What we suggest strongly is never, ever, ever say, hey, do you want to do a survey for me? Want to fill out a survey for me? Because most people are going, no, I don't have time. Instead say, would you like to help the YMCA teach more kids how to swim and not drown? It will only take 5 or 10 minutes. That's about how long the survey will take, actually, about 5 or 10 minutes. And if you use, this, would you like to help the YMCA? Who can turn that down? So try to tug at their heartstrings a little bit to, be able to get them to complete a survey. Again, emphasize only 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, survey procedures. So hopefully you have your surveys in front of you. The training video must be viewed, which is what you're doing right now. Your whole association, not just your branch, but your whole association will be trying to get 500 surveys total. Hopefully 250 adolescent, 250 parent caregiver. We're not, stuck on those numbers, but we want to try to keep it as equitable as possible. Hopefully you have copies of both survey versions and consent statements, and they should probably be on file somewhere in your branch, like at the front desk in a folder. Do not use swimming programming to access your survey takers. Try to target large classes or groups to recruit potential survey participants, but again, try to avoid swimming programming because those people are already excited about swimming. We want to find out what people who don't know how to swim or aren't involved in swimming programming, why. So we need to try to avoid that as much as possible. Other survey site suggestions would be daycare programming, basketball leagues and classes, after-school care programming, martial arts classes or other types of classes you have at your branch, and maybe Y Achievers or YCAP. Also, if you have maybe a weekend fair, educational fair, or a weekend event, that's also a good way to get survey numbers up. Okay, let's talk about the surveys. There's two different surveys, obviously. I think I showed you them before. We have the adolescent survey and then the parent caregiver survey. Adolescent version, you have kids who are ages 12 to 18 years of age take it. parent caregivers are going to be taking the survey in lieu of their child, the oldest child within the age range of 4 to 11. So there's really just two surveys, but we're trying to get access into information for all age ranges. Okay, first thing you have to do is ask for consent or ask for permission. This is an important part of the survey procedure, and it is a part of our University of Memphis IRB approval, Institutional Research Board approval. And it is the duty of the University of Memphis to protect all research participants in studies. So they've laid down certain rules that we have to follow, and one of them is to get consent or permission. We are using passive consent, which is verbal only. No return paperwork is necessary. No signatures is necessary. So all you really have to do, specifically with the parent caregiver consent, is to just have them read it themselves, or you can read it out loud to them. If they still want to complete a survey, then they go ahead and do it. If they don't, you can't really force them, but you want to try to encourage them as much as possible. The adolescent consent form is a little bit trickier, which is what we're going to be talking about next. This slide is kind of crazy, so look at it, or I strongly suggest that you look at your brief description document that I have provided already, and hopefully you have in front of you. Okay, so adolescent consent is a little bit more complicated, but it's really not horribly complicated. What you have to do is let the adolescents and their parent caregivers know that you will be administering the survey during a future class or group time. Please include the exact date, and do this a few days ahead of time in order to make sure that the word gets to the parents. You can do this in an actual hard copy note home, or you can put it on an email to everybody, or you can post it on Google Pages and send them the link. In the past, other YMCAs have posted the consent statement on the wall and put a copy of the survey right next to it. And as parents come in to pick up their children, you can just refer them to read the consent statement and look at the survey, and then tell the YMCA staff member that it's okay for my child to take the survey when you do this. Or the parent can just tell the child, and the child then can say, yeah, my parent said it's okay for me to take the survey when it comes time for that. So this is passive consent. If the parent says, no, my child cannot take this survey, then they cannot take that survey. If the adolescent comes in that day and says, no, I don't want to take that survey, you can't force them to take the survey, but you want to try to encourage them as much as possible. Once you have all consented adolescents in the room ready to take the survey, you need to make sure that there's some sort of trained YMCA staff member, hopefully you, since you're watching this video. You want to read the consent statement out loud before you administer the survey. Emphasize that the survey responses are completely anonymous, not to put their names on it. And then they can quit whenever they want to, and they can skip a question if they want to, but again, try to encourage them as much as possible to complete the survey because the information is so important. Okay, some specific directions that you can actually read out loud when you're administering the survey. I will just go through some of these word for word. This is a survey that will help USA Swimming and YMCA to better understand why many children are not learning how to swim, and then why they drown at such high rates. Do not put your name on the survey. Your responses will be completely anonymous. Please be honest with all your answers. Please mark or circle your answers very clearly. If you feel uncomfortable answering any questions, feel free to skip it. If you are unsure of a word or what a sentence means, please ask the person administering the survey to help you. And then also talk to them a little bit about the agree, disagree statements. They're on the front page of the adolescent one, and on the parent caregiver, they're on the very back. Especially with the adolescents, they may look at each one of these statements and think, I don't know how I feel about this. And I think you need to help them a little bit by saying, think about how you felt about it right after you read it. Do you agree with that statement, or do you disagree with that statement? And go with that feeling, and respond accordingly. Either you strongly disagree with that statement, or you kind of disagree with that statement. And then the next would be kind of agree or strongly agree. So kind of help them out with that. Also pay close attention to the swimming ability questions, which on the adolescent version is at the bottom. There's a scale of different swimming ability skills. So they need to read those very, very carefully and answer as honestly as they can regarding to their swim ability. And then the parent caregiver of that particular adolescent also, they have to kind of rate whichever parent they feel is the best swimmer. On the parent caregiver survey that they're filling out for their young child, they'll have to fill out the young child's swimming ability and then their own too. So again, try to focus in on that question. That's a vital question, really important. Also, the demographic questions, there's a couple that are really, really important. The free or reduced lunch demographic question, some school districts no longer do free or reduced lunch, like Memphis doesn't. They just give everybody free lunch. You know, try to, if your school district is like that, then you might want to just say, please make sure that you mark D, I don't know, on that particular question. And then make sure that you answer the next question, because that is a backup question just in case. Zip code will be able to estimate their income based on the zip code. And also be sure, reassure everybody that if we put your zip code down, we won't be able to find you. It'll still be anonymous. So zip code is another real vital demographic question. And the last one that's really important is the racial identity question, and it's based on what the survey participant thinks his or her race ethnicity is. Tell the respondents to circle all the racial identities listed that they believe match who they are, especially if they are biracial or multiracial. And if they think they are primarily just one racial identity, just choose and circle that one. This is a sensitive item. This one is in particular very sensitive. So encourage participants to respond. If they feel like they just don't want to respond at all, that's fine. And then ask them to keep going with the survey if they can. Okay, one more specific direction in regards to the surveys for the parent only. Again, some questions on the survey will be pointed at how their child feels, and then some will be pointed at how they feel. And again, you want to answer on behalf of the oldest child within the age range of 4 to 11 years. Okay, done. That's it. No questions? Please notify your supervisor that you've watched this video and you don't have any questions. If you do have questions, please either ask your supervisor these questions, or you can always send me the questions and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. This is my email address, cirwin@memphis.edu, CIRWIN@memphis.edu, or my phone number, which is 901-678-5437. Thank you in advance for being a part of this study. The entire research team thanks you. With your help, we will teach more kids how to be safe around water, learn how to swim, and possibly save lives. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Happy surveying.